U4 SDGs Pandemic Edition.
Hi, I'm Francesca.
Hi, I'm Tasha.
This week's waste management episode, we reached out to Trash Hero and were redirected to Tasmin, the environmental manager at Starboard, which is the company who started Trash Hero in Thailand.
She'll be talking to us about the incentive behind Trash Hero and the environmental projects at Starboard. She's also given us some really useful advice on how we can get involved and things that we could do at school to reduce the amount of waste we produce.
Besides this, she also talked about her upcoming project called Ambassadors for the Planet, which is an educational workbook aimed towards finding solutions to the problem we face today.
We found many of her projects to be really inspiring, and we hope you enjoy too. So without further ado, let's get on with the podcast.
I'm Tasmin from Starboard. I'm the environmental manager for the company. So this means I manage all the projects we do to help the environment. So we have a range of things that we do. The company itself is a windsurfing and stand-up paddleboarding brand. We hold world titles for the races across the world for windsurfing and SUP, and we've recently been selected for the Olympics for our windsurfing equipment. So pretty big things for our company, but we know that what we do is quite polluting to the planet. So we try and do everything we can to reduce our impact. So whether that's collecting 1.1 kilograms of plastic waste per board that we sell, or planting one mangrove tree, which absorbs 1 ton of CO2 within the first 20 years of its life. So we do all these different things to try and help us enjoy nature a lot more when we're out on the water.
Why did your company start looking into waste recycling, and how do you manage the waste?
Yeah, good question. So as I said, we are quite a impactor when it comes to the industrial processing of our boards. So when we realized what we actually did, we did an assessment for our company to measure how much plastic we're using within the whole company. We did this with the Plastic Disclosure Project. And once we found out how much plastic we're using, we were like really shocked. So we eliminated all single-use plastic. So what we did is we tried redesigning different areas of our boards to try and use materials which weren't virgin plastic. And then what we still found out is that we're still polluting because we're still making boards made from plastic. So therefore we came to the point where like, okay, we still need to retract some plastic that we're putting out to the world, and what better way to do this than collecting the waste that's already out there. As you know, the beaches here in Thailand are quite heavily polluted with plastic. So what we did was we have a team who go out near enough every day to collect plastic for us, like plastic waste from the beaches. So our total goal for this year was 50,000 kilograms, which is a huge amount to collect from the beaches. But our team actually completed this goal yesterday. So they had like the final 150 kilograms to collect, and they completed it yesterday. So that's really cool. What we try and do with all that waste is recycle what we can. One of the main things that we've worked on is the fishing net fins for our boards. These are high performance fins, but they're made from fishing nets that are found in the Indian Ocean, which then we can melt down and we put them into pellets, and then we're able to recycle them into fishing nets, which is quite cool. We try and keep our quality as high as possible, even though we're using recycled materials.
So you said that you try to balance out the waste that you create by collecting trash. So how often do you do these cleanups? Is it kind of like a project on the side, or do you do it regularly?
What we actually do is we have a team of about 33 people who go out every day. I think there's one day a week where they don't go out, but it's all different people. So it's also not a voluntary thing. So what Starboard do is we take off an amount of like a percentage of our profits to pay these people per kilogram that they collect.
So how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected your operation in waste collection and recycling?
So we've obviously had to have a bit of a break because we're not allowed to get together in groups, and also the contamination of waste, we don't want to risk it as well. So we had to pause it for a little while, a couple of weeks actually. And then the team actually went back out this week and finished their goal for this year. So that's not been too bad, but where it has kind of affected is when we have different projects within our headquarters to recycle waste, and also we recycle receipts as well. So what we ask our staff to do is to bring in these elements of waste that we can recycle. So that's obviously meant that because less people are going into work, we're having less to recycle, which can be a bit of an issue if people aren't able to recycle at home. So then we're just having to like hold the waste for longer before we can send it off to be recycled.
So do you have any thoughts on the waste industry post-pandemic and how that's going to change?
What's going to happen is we're going to have so much waste, like way more than we can handle anyway. I know that we have that issue right now. Recycling isn't the solution at all. All of us have to take part and use less of what we're using and use more reusables. I saw the other day that Thailand's plastic waste has increased by 63% in the last couple of months. And 80% of that is also food packaging, because everyone's not wanting to go to the stores, or they're going to the stores and just buying everything in plastic. But what it mostly is food deliveries. So what I think needs to happen is these food delivery services need to either use a material that isn't plastic, which would be a great solution, or use a way that they can safely do like a deposit scheme with these items. I think what they could also be doing to help us is clearly showing like how much waste is just going into the ground and not able to go anywhere, just to get people to connect with the whole issue of what it is and how bad it is and how drastic it is. Because I think what happens to us is it's a lot of out of sight, out of mind, isn't it? So we throw something in the bin or recycling and just hope for the best that it gets dealt with. Whereas we all need to take responsibility. It can't just be left with the waste management teams to deal with it.
So do you think there's too much of an emphasis on like recycling instead of like using less?
100%, yeah, 100% agree. I hear it on the radio in Thailand where they're like, recycle, recycle, recycle. And it's like, don't tell people this, like tell them to use less. Like it should be a thing that you carry with you all the time, like you do with your phone. You know, you should have like your reusable set in your bag, so you're not having to go and use these plastic items that then get thrown away or like thrown on the floor. Like, I think there needs to be more of a possession of your own things and the care to be taken with that too.
What advice would you give to high schoolers to recycle, or as you've said, use less waste within their household, like just within their family?
But you just have to try and recycle as much as you can. I know in a lot of the apartment blocks, you normally have two bins, the recycle bin and the not recycle bin. You just have to make sure whatever you're recycling is really clean and separated. Otherwise it messes everything up once it goes to the recycling centre. If it's contaminated, it can contaminate everything, then that whole load can't be recycled anymore. If you don't have a recycling system in your building, then I suggest talking to the building manager to let them, like, to voice your concerns, and then hopefully they'll be like, okay, we need to implement this, is what they want, this is what we should be doing, because they may not be thinking about it because people have so many things to worry about day to day anyway. This may not be on their agenda at all. As soon as you raise it, then they're going to start understanding, like, this is what we need to do now.
So how do you think students can join together to make a difference in this area, as in, like, you know, clubs and organizations?
So we do the cleanups once a week, and we also have a big cleanup once a month, normally on Bank of Chow. So you can join these organizations when we do the cleanups. I think this is like the best way for people to realize that the issue that the trash is everywhere. So like you have the first-hand experience of picking up the trash, you have the first-hand experience of sorting it, and then realizing what can and can't be recycled. And the stuff you come across as well is stuff that you'd use like day to day, and might shock you quite a lot when you realize, like, oh, I actually use this stuff and this is kind of where it's ending up. Like, if you just use your voice, if you think that anything's not right, you should say something, or like just question it. Like, it's okay to question it and not get an answer. Like for myself, I came on the environmental scene about, I don't know, like 2 years ago, and started sharing everything through my own social media, and the amount of friends who've been like, wow, if you didn't share that, I wouldn't know.
What goals do you have for the future, and can you tell the listeners more about your ambassadors for the Planet Project?
Of course, yeah. So if I go for our future plans for now, so as I mentioned earlier, we've been selected for the Olympics with our windsurfing equipment. And one of our things for that is because sporting events attract so many people and they generate a lot of waste. So what we've put together is like a sustainability agreement that every event that includes our includes our equipment, they have to sign this agreement to make sure there's no single-use plastic being used at the events, and there's other materials they can use instead, and also to make those events carbon neutral. So I'd be doing the calculations for that, and then we'll be offsetting that amount of carbon released through transport or electricity usage through the planting of mangroves. And what we aim to do for that is like change the whole of the sporting industry step by step, hopefully aiming up to the Olympics to reduce the whole of this plastic waste.
That's amazing.
This is also something you can do at your schools and universities. So any event that you guys put on, or any, like, maybe make an agreement with your school and be like, okay, if we're going to run this event, like, let's try and do this as best for the environment as possible. And just say, like, if you are a vendor who's coming onto our campus, you're not allowed to bring any single-use plastic. And you can be as hard and be like, you're not allowed on site if you have this. Ambassadors for the Planet is something that Starboard have been working on the last couple of years with Protect Blue. So Protect Blue is one of our partners that have been putting this all together. So basically what it is, it's a educational workbook for students of many ages to get involved with. The workbook itself is aimed towards finding solutions to our problems today, and that's through harnessing the powers of the youth, because every young person has a special skill. Sometimes we lose it as we get older, but the book itself is to champion whatever skill that person has in order to find the solutions. So the whole curriculum itself is reflective of all the SDGs, so it focuses on every avenue. And the workbook itself, you can choose your own pathway of learning. So you can go down one route if it suits you, or you can go down another route. And it can be taught online, it can be taught in a classroom, it can be taught anywhere. It could be a short period of time, long period of time. It's very, very flexible. And the aim, as I said, is to find solutions to our problems. So every solution that comes forwards from the students will be put onto a database, which anyone can then access, and then hopefully people who want to support these solutions and make them come to life, they can do.
We hope you enjoyed the episode and that you can take some of the advice she's given to implement into your daily life.
We have some questions down below for you to have a go at and think about how we can improve the waste management within Thailand.
Thanks for watching.